Kalvin Phillips has struck the headlines recently for his nightmare loan spell at West Ham United so far, with some football fans labelling it the worst loan signing of all time. But before this nightmare loan spell, fans unaware of his time in the Leeds and England shirt may find it hard to comprehend that the Yorkshire-born midfielder was once an instrumental player for club and country, even receiving the nickname of the Yorkshire Pirlo of Leeds faithful. Today we'll be encircling his rise to the top through the academy ranks, his undeniable quality under Marcelo Bielsa and England manager Gareth Southgate, and the nasty fall from the top since joining Manchester City for the colossal fee of £50 million. Kalvin began his career in the ranks of his boyhood club Leeds United as a trialist in the under-15s. The trial was successful and the young man continued to impress, making a senior debut at 19 years of age against Wolverhampton Wanderers in a 4-3 loss. But before this, Leeds United had to fight against his secondary school in Varley in relation to taking him out of school for footballing purposes such as matches, training and travel, as the school didn't believe his sporting career should have been within Kalvin's best interests. And how wrong were they? Phillips became a regular after the arrival of Argentine manager Marcelo Bielsa, which was highly influential for the rise of his career, as he was pretty in and out before this, with Leeds going through a rough patch as a club with plenty of managerial alterations. Bielsa arrived, and he arrived with ambition, and Phillips would be at the heart of it, achieving playoffs in his first campaign, an impressive title triumph, finishing 10 points clear of second place West Brom with 92 points and 28 wins. Phillips occupied in Bielsa's 4-1-4-1 setup, flourishing as he guarded the backline off the ball and tended to join it, making it free with the ball to allow the centre-backs to manoeuvre into a wider line and find passing angles to midfielders forward and the fullbacks holding width. This carried right through to the Premier League as Leeds United set the Premier League alight and finished the 2021 season with 59 points, just 8 points from a Champions League spot. And when Leeds United stepped up, so did Kalvin Phillips, as this earned him an England call-up to Gareth Southgate's Three Lions group, making his England debut on the 12th of September 2020. His performances in the Leeds United team continued to thrive, leading him to a Euro 2020 call-up, and played as a pivotal role in England's Euro run into the final, where Phillips partnered Declan Rice in a 3-4-3 and a 4-2-3-1. Despite England's Wembley heartbreak on penalties and some England players struggling to bounce back from their final failure, Phillips didn't let this knock him down, as he went on to win England Player of the Year, achieving 234 appearances for Leeds United and achieve a £50 million move to reigning champions Manchester City. Although Phillips achieved the Champions League, a Premier League, a Club World Cup, a Super Cup, a FA Cup medal, it's fair to say he wasn't very essential in Pep Guardiola's added success and only started 6 out of his 31 appearances for the Citizens. But before we detail the forward of 28-year-old, let's recapture the player he once was and the player he hopefully steps up to be again. Kalvin Phillips was very hard-working, talented and a visionary football player that shared most of his notable skills on the pitch in being his quick, intricate passing play, excellent ball carrying abilities and progressive nature, ball and dual winning strengths, excellent level passing range that can unlock wide players in just one pass, and the gift of reading the opposition's player and intercept. And that's without even touching on his tendency of finding quality move-kicking passes in the tight scenarios, efficiency when pressing a man, and his impressive and relentless levels of stamina that saw him play every minute of Euro 2020, including both extra time affairs, apart from the Germany game where he was substituted. He was a very smart and intelligent footballer that judged adequately when and when not to step in when a ball or player was moving, and majority of the time he got it right. His prevention of opposition counter-attacks and fast attacking moves was next level stuff, and influence on the ball was so vital that sometimes the opposition opted to man-mark the number 23 in an attempt to put a stop to Leeds ticking. Bielsa in 2020, speaking of Phillips, mentioned he's matured a lot in his interpretation to take the best solution. Kalvin is playing at a very, very high level and has shown that the responsibility doesn't inhibit him, it improves him. So where has it gone wrong for Kalvin Phillips? I think it's a very clear indicator that his confidence is glaringly low, as he's mentioned in interviews before, and his spell away from consistent first team football involvements have affected this in his performance. So far for the Hammers, he's been wildly disappointing, with the off-field viral footage of him responding to the abuse from those who attended Newcastle's 4-3 thriller win last Saturday, losing him the backing of the fan base. But let's take a look at what isn't quite going the way he and David Moyes would have envisioned. So far in a claret and sky blue shirt, Phillips has had 1 red card, a mistake in his first 2 minutes of his debut, 0 90-minute appearances, and a horror cameo at St James's Park where the Hammers went on a 3-1 lead to a 4-3 loss, with Phillips certainly not covering himself in any glory. But most noticeably to West Ham supporters, there's been a suspected lack of effort and work rate off the ball, as players seem to be brushing by him, playing passes through him, charging the ball easily into space without the defensive midfielder even challenging in a duel to win it back. David Moyes usually sets up with a midfield pivot, and Kalvin Phillips has shared different partners within this. But we've also seen Moyes accommodate to where Phillips flourished the best when playing out. At times, he's dropped between the centre-backs just like he did at Leeds, but he also takes up space in midfield. At times in midfield, when the ball has came to him, he introduces himself into an unnecessary tussle or duel with opposition players due to his poor touches and direction of the ball, where that sometimes kickstart an opposition move. Further talking upon the ball, he struggled to really impact the game, with his longer range passing being ineffective, and ability in tight scenarios to retain the ball seemingly appears to be missing. In his debut against Bournemouth, he made a mistake in 2 minutes with a poor back pass straight to the prolific Dominic Solanke, but to begin with, I think this was a difficult situation for Kalvin to find himself in, as there wasn't too many passes on. If he turned forward or to Mavropanos or Johnson's direction, there's a chance that the Bournemouth attackers sifting him down will swoop the ball from him anyway. So the pass back to Areola was natural for how he shaped his body and receivement of the ball, but definitely not sustainable in West Ham's attempt to play out in this sequence. Moving away on the ball, it's probably been his involvement off the ball that we just touched on. It's been quite poor. Phillips, when you watch him, looks a million miles off it in terms of, is he tracking runners down and running into central areas? Is there an urgency to close players down but also run back when he commits further forwards? The answer so far suggests a whopping no. As we can see here, Everton and Belgium's Onana glides by him with ease and transition and kickstart an attacking move with acres of space in front of him late in the game. We see Anthony Gordon link up with Newcastle's strong Longstaff moving forwards, whilst Phillips is strolling about with no attempt at breaking him down or posing a threat to the player. We see Anthony Gordon again strike past an Alvarez challenge with slight contact, but then run through and get a shot off, with West Ham's loanees showing minimal effort in closing him down despite being close. The match-winning strike, we see former Leicester City player Harvey Barnes adjust his body positioning when receiving the ball, opening the ball up with his right foot and letting one right into the top corner as Phillips struggles to fight for the ball. In Arsenal's 6-0 demolition at the London Stadium, Bukayo Saka cruised through onto his left foot, receiving the ball in acres of space, as Phillips fails to anticipate the danger and show any sense of speed and need to get back. The examples go on, and it's fair to say he's simply not been good enough out of possession 2 for West Ham, which won't get you into a David Moyes team, and the truth to be told, West Ham look a lot worse of a team with Kalvin Phillips there. Although we've interpreted his reaction time and choice of pass to be quite poor in tight areas so far too, the penalty giveaway to Newcastle was fairly unlucky and probably led to his head drop at St James's Park, but the former Manchester United and Everton manager has expressed his support for the midfielder in the press and urges the fans to stick behind him and show support in their fight for European football next season, with so much left to play for. I personally myself see Kalvin Phillips' underwhelming loan spell to be a result of a clear deficit of confidence, as we discussed earlier in the video. For me, he's somebody who was so pivotal, cherished, idolised and beloved in the Leeds United team, who took the chance to move to the best team in the country in an environment that promised to make him a much better player in world-class facilities of such, increasing his England chances, surrounding himself with England international teammates and better players, and most obviously win trophies. And despite that being quite the obvious promise to a team like City, his contributions to that wasn't, and sadly it hasn't quite worked. And at the other end of the tunnel, he's lost familiarity of what he once was. I think with Moyes and teammates' support though, gradual more game time, which might sound displeasing for some West Ham supporters, he'll rekindle with his footballing qualities that many Leeds fans would remember and provide positive impact for the smaller fraction of time left in the Premier and Europa League campaign. He's somebody that Moyes have been drawn to for some time, so I don't see it being the end of that story, but if it is, then I still believe it isn't the end of Kalvin Phillips, and we'll see the qualities lining up another team in England or potentially abroad. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy, make sure to smash a like and subscribe. I detail this level of football analysis on a weekly basis. I've made videos on players such as Ross Barkley and the resurgence of him, and tactical managers such as Ruben Amorim. So if you did enjoy, check them out, and I'll see you in the next one.